backpack, I'm gonna hit it.
I don't know if there's any hope for him or not. He just has to covey shoot.
We're going fishing in the dark, next on the Journal. Hi friends, and welcome. On today's adventure, we're headed south. And by south, I mean down to western Kentucky. And by we, I mean my friend Bob Ison and I. And together, Bob and I are going to run down and do a night's bow fishing with Mr. Dennis Redden of Dennis Redden Outfitters down in Benton, Kentucky. We're going out on the Columbia River down by Barkley Dam, and we're going to try our hand at shooting some invasive species. Now, if you've watched the news, you've heard about the Asian carp, the big head, and the silver carp, the ones that jump up in the air and knock you out of the boat. Well, we're going to go down and try to do our part to control some of those fish by shooting them with a bow and arrow at night. Now, if this sounds a little sketchy, it isn't. It's a whole lot of fun, but I should warn you, this is the first time Bob has ever tried it, and I haven't been bow fishing in over a year, so I was pretty certain there'd be a lot more missing than hitting. Still, if this is like any other trip for this kind of fish we've done, I knew before the night was over we'd both get plenty of chances. Hey, I'm your host, Kyle Randall. This is my Wilderness Journal, and we're headed south to do some fishing in the dark right now. Just before sunset, we launched the boat and started drifting downriver to get our stuff rigged and ready, but it wasn't long before, well, let's just say we got distracted. You think? Dennis, did you say you did some deer hunting?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah, there's the one behind you. See the buck behind it?
Friends, in the off-season, Dennis does do a little deer guiding in Kentucky as well, but for now, well, now it was time to start fishing. We rocked up to the face of Barkley Dam and then started getting ready. Bob had never done this before, so he was going to go first. And even though these fish don't really start coming up until after dark, Dennis thought we might get him a chance at a couple of these fish that were already jumping.
Well, I've already seen fish jumping all over the place, so you already don't have no excuse.
I'm ready, man.
The locals appeared to be more than a little skeptical, but what Bob lacked in experience, he more than made up for in enthusiasm. So as we moved up along the dam, I was really hopeful. Even though the locals were, like I said, giving him the eye, Bob would get himself a chance, get into a bit of a routine. The secret to doing this, at least for me, is just keep shooting, and I hope that's what Bob would do. Dennis had us set up at the base of the dam, and just as he had predicted, as the lights went down, the fish started to rise.
Right idea.
Now, I should tell you, this is really fast action. Dennis flicks the light on, you see the fish, and you've got 3, 5, 6 seconds to draw your bow and shoot. And even though the fish are fairly close, they don't stay up for long, so you really do have to pay attention. The best part of this, if you ask me, is that it is rapid fire. It's a lot of opportunities, and who cares if you miss? You just keep shooting. And after just a few of the aforementioned misses...
Paddlefish. I think you got him, brother.
Yeah, I think you got him. How much do I give him?
Just play him like you would a fish. Yeah, get him. Get the line over the side of the boat.
Did I see him way back here?
There he comes. Yeah, there he goes. No, yeah, yeah. I just walk him through it.
Walk him back, walk him back. Just walk to the back of the boat.
Join your hand.
There you go.
Good shot.
Got it though?
Yeah.
Except for it's razor sharp and it'll cut your fingers
I
off.
didn't know. I can't think of my life.
Dennis, you're not helping. Razor sharp and it'll cut your fingers off. Lie down him. Looky here.
It's a face only a mother could love.
Yeah, that's what he was thinking about your face. That's your first bow fishing fish?
Yep.
Pretty cool, man. Nice shot.
Fish I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I've never seen one.
Yeah.
Kill 2 of them on that.
Nice job, man.
Yep, that's a good shot. Cool. Going on with that.
And with that, we'd finally broke the ice. After a few false starts, Bob finally had his first bow fishing completion, a really nice paddlefish. And after getting that under his belt, building his confidence, Dennis decided it was time to take him up by the dam and try his luck with some of those Asians. Now in full darkness, and after just a few more shot opportunities, that's outfitter speak for misses, Dennis had us back on the fish. But what happened next, I think kind of surprised Bob, even though I had warned him. Hey, you're after them. They're not after you.
Things come out of nowhere.
No, they come out of the water.
I should have warned you there that he could do that sometime when you hit the line.
I tried to warn him on the way down there, but after that silver jumped up and nearly slapped him in the face, well, it was about then I believe Bob finally figured out why I call this self-defense fishing, yeah. Well, after Dennis explained to Bob it was only the really big fish that hurt a guy bad when they jumped in the boat, we got back at it. Dennis slowly worked us across the face of the dam, and up here there was actually enough light he didn't need to spot the fish. You could see them. That didn't necessarily mean you got a shot at them every time, but we were seeing a few. I do believe, however, that Bob did better when we used the spotlight. It focused his attention or pointed out the fish, and sometimes the fish we saw weren't target fish, they were just a little gar or something. Still, the more we used the light, the better it seemed to work for Bob, and to tell the truth, it was the same for me. I really felt the farther into the darkness we went, the better the fishing got. In fact, after just a couple more shot opportunities,
Good shot. Down we go. Take this, or is that how you do it?
yeah! Look at there! Look at you!
He's blowing you some kisses.
Yeah! They're starting to show up, aren't they?
Yep. Good reason to stay up after midnight, for sure, because I don't do it very often.
Well, I was worried about you turning into a pumpkin.
I know it.
That's getting her done. You want me to get you a loaf of bread? You got a sandwich there.
I'll pass, man. I'll pass.
Hey, nice job, man. I told you, you got this.
At least I'm hitting a couple of them.
Yeah.
Oh, if we get the fish cooperate, we're going to be in good shape. Man.
I'll take those 10-yard shots. That's fun.
A good shot on a nice fish. It really felt like Bob was starting to get the hang of this. With that, he finally had his first silver carp in the tub, as we like to say, but I was pretty certain it was actually Bob who was hooked. For the next half hour or so, Bob turned into a virtual machine gun. Every fish we saw he was taking a shot at. Now, true, he didn't hit everyone. The truth is, you miss a bunch. I told you that. It's fun to shoot. That's what this kind of trip is about. And I was certain Bob was hooked. Bow fishing is fun.
If you hit them all, we'll make you quit.
It's pretty fun, I gotta admit.
Something different, isn't it?
I like it when you can see them fading.
I saw a couple of them right here on top of them.
Whole covey of them, wasn't it?
I had to flat shoot it. Can't get them all.
What do you mean you can't get them all? You shot at them all.
For the next couple hours, the pattern was pretty much the same. We were wearing those bows out shooting.
That was a covey shot.
I didn't get a single one. There's
How
like
many?
40 other shots.
How many you got to have?
How many you think was in that little covey there?
A lot.
I don't think that's a covey. I think that's a flock.
That was pretty neat. Said you don't focus.
No,
You got to pick one, but yeah, on them you just...
I do remember thinking that night that something was a little backwards, a little off. When we had an opportunity at singles or just a couple, we did okay. But whenever we had an easy shot at a whole group of fish, a covey shot, Dennis began to call it, We couldn't hit any of them.
Yeah, lots of miles to choose from, man.
Got him?
Negative.
Ghost Rider, the pattern is full.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, looking right at
He got too many mouths to feed, don't he?
Oh, it'll humble you in a hurry. Like, how can I miss all of it?
It's funny, like, one was feeding, and you put it on there, and there was like 10 of them.
Yeah.
Now that's not to say that we always hit the singles.
Right over. He had his mouth full.
He did too. Too exciting. Too many chances. It's only midnight. You're doing fine.
Dennis had worked us back up near the dam, and we were easing our way along, hoping to find some big heads, some of the really big Asian carp that are down here. But it wasn't until we finally turned away from the light again that we started to get back into the fish. We were definitely getting the full tour, and a lot of opportunities to come at this from different directions.
He gave you a long.
I know it.
Yeah, okay, Colin. I know. One good miss and he
That's
just
it.
called you.
That's it. Calling you out.
Right over you.
Now you got it. There's one ready.
Ooh, you close on him. And I went right over his head.
Not that it really changed our results all that much, at least not yet.
When it looks good, it's too high.
When you look like you shoot right under him, you can get payment. Yeah, one right here in front of you. 20 yards. Right here.
Yep. Ooh. Wheels are falling off, man.
All right, that's it. Now it's my turn.
Boy, they're staying up pretty good there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at them in front of us. They are right in front of us.
And I missed. Give me a fishing pole.
Just something I understand, right?
Yeah, here's the head back again.
Ready?
Low. Oh, right in front of the nose,
Right in
I
front of
think.
his nose. So he just stayed up.
Take it.
Well, after only 4 or 5 hours of steady shooting, Bob finally decided to take a break, let me have a run at those fish. But I have to tell you, in truth, I didn't start out any better than he did. When it finally was my turn to shoot, quite a number of shot opportunities came and went, just like I said.
Hey, Kyle. I got the first couple, man. Come on.
And I don't really recall much in the way of sympathy coming my way either, at least not from Bob. Not that I necessarily deserved any anyway.
We'll take it.
Truth is, my shooting, like Bob's, had been just a little off most of the night. That is, until I finally just settled down and started shooting a little under the fish. That's what you have to do, and it's a hard thing to force yourself to do, especially when you're shooting instinctive. However, if you can get into it,
To the right, to the right, to the... Oh, I didn't see that one. You got that one.
You done good.
Yep.
finally, after what felt like forever, I actually had a fish swim into an arrow.
Oh, yeah. But see, you hit him high.
Yeah, it's still him, yeah. Still up high.
Bro.
Good enough, Bob. Sooner or later, one of them is going to run into that arrow.
That's what happened right there. Nice shot, nice shot.
One.
Gotta start somewhere.
And after just a couple of more shot opportunities, including one cubby shot that predictably didn't go well, I finally did get it started.
Oh, that's a good fish, yeah.
Yeah. He's a
Him in
piece.
front of it. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's a good one. I believe that's the biggest one of the night. I see you. There it is. Oh, yeah. That's a little bit bigger one right there. Nice shot.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's still a little high.
Well, if I could move you down 2 inches, you'd have a half a barrel full.
That's a little better one.
Yeah, man.
Yeah? Alright, well, I guess we better keep trying. It's not like we're wearing them out.
There's a few here.
But that's the better one.
I finally hit a couple, but in the interest of reality and television, I should tell you, we both missed far more than we hit. I tell you that because if you ever get the chance to go down there and do this kind of fishing, you need to just keep shooting. Hit or miss, doesn't matter. There's going to be another chance in just a couple of seconds. And not long after Bob and I got back to shooting,
Oh, there you go. Oh.
You know what that is, Bob?
Ugly.
3. I think I missed twice.
Maybe a couple times.
But I tell you what, Dennis, we are having some fun. You are as advertised. You know, all the shooting your shoulders can handle.
Appreciate that.
And occasionally one will run into an arrow. Yeah, 3.
I was starting to do a little better, but before I could even get back up on the platform,
How'd it get to be your turn again? You shot for the first 4 hours.
Got him. Tell me you got him.
He did. I saw the arrow go sideways.
Okay, easy. Let him run.
friends, it only took 4 or 5 hours, but things were definitely starting to come around.
Big old grass carp, right?
Good shot. Wow.
Right down through the center. Nice fish, man.
Well, we were still missing far more than we were hitting, but friends, as the night wore on, we were finally getting it together. We were starting to figure this out. In fact, once we started hitting them, it seemed like we finally got the string in them together.
Got him.
Good
Good
shot.
shot, my golly.
That's a good
Self-defense
shot.
maneuver.
And before the night was over, we actually got on a bit of a roll.
Good shot. Oh my gosh. I believe he's got 2 in a row.
You did?
Hey, look at him. He's on a roll, man.
2 headshots.
2 in a row.
I told you, if you let me shoot him in the head, you don't get him to self-defense.
There you go.
I mean, a headshot and a half. That's a good shot.
It didn't even swim. It just turned on its side. Done.
Yeah,
I give up.
Edge.
Oh, now he's just getting cocky.
Oh, he is going to get the big head now, ain't he? 3 in a row.
Oh, really?
Look, I make my living being lucky. Don't be beating up on me when it happens.
Look at there. Quartering away right behind the front leg.
Counts, right?
Good shot. Good shot.
Ooh, that's a nice one there.
Oh, we couldn't handle that, could he?
Them head-on ones, I don't take that. Tail stroke.
Friends, it may have taken most of the night, but we finally did put a dent in them.
Maybe.
I don't know if he could have handled that or not.
I don't think
We
that's
got
good.
it.
You're doing really good. We're liking this footage.
I'm gonna tell you, he ain't on there.
He
But
was just barely on there, wasn't he? Oh, broadside.
Oh, that was a gimme.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's on a roll. I'm telling you, when he gets on a roll, the guy is a streak shooter.
There's a learning curve. There ain't no doubt about it.
Oh, if I could have moved him down 3 inches, that barrel would be running over. Because them first 37 that he shot at, he would kill 30 of them.
36. Maybe it's 38.
Friends, it's like I told you. Just keep shooting.
Give me some of that.
Friends, in my opinion, that is absolutely the most fun you can have doing your part to help control invasive and rough fish. And I have to thank again Bob Eisen and certainly Mr. Dennis Redden for putting us on all that fun. Trust me when I tell you, it was only sore muscles and laughter-induced exhaustion that made us quit that night, and we're certainly going back down there to have another run at them just as soon as we can. If you haven't yet tried bow fishing, friends, give it a go. It is a lot of fun, it's challenging, it's a great way to spend a summer evening. And if you head down to Kentucky, who knows, you might just see us there, and if we do run into you, well, you know we're going to stop and share a cup and a fire. And if I don't see you down on the river, well, you can bet I'll be waiting right back here, so we can share another adventure from my Wilderness Journal.